Things left in drafts. The first thing I fixed was the cursor. It had been blinking at an irritating, cocky tempo, half a second on, half a second off, like a small lighthouse that didn't care if ships crashed. My wife's laptop had decided to dramatize a simple update by taking her mail right along with it. "Please," she said that morning, pushing the machine toward me as if it were a guest behaving badly. My inbox is where promises go to get organized. I fix small broken things for a living. I can follow an instruction tree without pretending it's a forest. I ran the recovery tool, watched the progress bar grow brave, and restored the settings she'd lost. When I opened her mail to make sure it worked, I saw a folder I'd never noticed before, tucked under her folders of consequence. Drafts, temp. The first message was addressed to R, just the initial, and dated 3 nights ago at 11:41 p.m. I didn't read it, then I did. "We have pulses." "Subject, Tuesday's window," it began. "I keep writing you in the kitchen and deleting you in the hallway. You are the only person who changes how the light hits my office." No greeting, no sign-off, just a clean hit that sounded like honesty and invitation. The second draft was worse because it was better. Subject, what would happen if I didn't? 2 short paragraphs, both careful and dangerous. A line, "I want to see you where time pretends to be long." A confession disguised as a pun. "I am trying to be good." Trying is doing a lot of work. Saved, unsaved, still there. I've been with Myra 13 years. We arrange our lives with small rituals. The back left burner is hers. The dog's leash hangs on the second hook. We put our wedding rings in the porcelain dish shaped like a pigeon because love is dignified enough to survive kitsch. And yet there, under the cursor I had just cured, sat 3 drafts and 1 partial apology to an initial. I closed the lid, then opened it. Autosave had added a 4th draft while I was breathing. I walked our rules 2 walks and came home. Then I came home and made lunch like a person who believed all the noises in the pan were just onions doing their job. After dinner I said, "I saw your drafts." She set her cup down. "Okay," she said, "can I tell you the boring lighting version, please?" "R is Raphael," she said, "the lighting designer." It was not a surprise. Our city has exactly one person who can talk about shadows like they pay rent. He's been consulting with us on the gallery renovation. He has a way of making rooms behave. He also has a way of making people feel like they're illuminated on purpose. I wrote the drafts to stop myself from sending them. I wanted to say the quiet thing somewhere so it wouldn't get loud. "Did you send anything?" "No," she said. "I flirted with my keyboard. He doesn't have my words or my body. He has whatever part of me likes daylight too much." She met my eyes long enough to prove that she meant it and short enough to confess that meaning things is different from managing them. "I believe you," I said. "I hate that I have to." "Me too," she said. That night we didn't sleep well. Around 2, I got up and oiled the closet hinges and wiped the picture frame where our younger selves are wet from ocean, and not worried about drafts or lighting designers or the moral life of the internet. In the morning I opened my own drafts and found 2 unsent notes, one to my brother, one to Myra years ago. I winced. Then I built a rule for myself. Write the truth in a draft, but tell it out loud before the software can pretend it's brave. I told Myra 3 things over toast. I'm jealous of a man who can change light with his hands. I miss being the person who changes yours. I want us to be able to talk about desire like we talk about dinner plans. Plain, practical, not mistaken for betrayal by default. Myra told me 3 things back. I want to be looked at with intention, not with inventory. I am afraid I've turned our marriage into a list of errands we're too proud of completing. I like how I feel in the hallway at work when someone asks me a hard question and waits. We made a plan. 1 hour without devices nightly, one confession, one request not dressed as a joke. I'd stop assuming silence is accusation. She'd stop letting drafts do work they weren't hired for. It worked 2 days. On the third, Fresia's arrived. For your pigeon dish. We bought sunflowers instead and filled the dish ourselves. If you want the scene where righteously furious speech solves everything, this isn't that story. If you want the scene where I punch a man who knows how to make shadows do what they're told, I'm sorry, my knuckles are pacifists. What we did instead, therapy of course. A woman with 40 plants in her office and a way of saying that implies both witness and warning. She asked us what Raphael gave Myra that our marriage wasn't giving her. Less history, Myra said. Then she asked me what Raphael threatened. My competence, I said. My ability to be the person who makes her feel visible without auditioning. Build what you miss, the therapist said. We rearranged lamps, added a dimmer, hung a mirror in the hallway, and kissed there before coffee. We spoke once like weather reports. I'm at 60% brave, I'd say. I'm at 80% wanting to be wanted, she'd answer. Numbers are not romantic, they're honest, and sometimes that's the same thing. Raphael did not disappear. Men like him don't exit, they fade, they rebrand, they learn a new theater to light. He sent one more email, subject, the sconce we discussed, which was mostly sconce and a little hope. Myra forwarded it to her assistant with the single line, please handle, and CC'd me because transparency can be both strategy and kindness. She did not send any drafts. Her folder stayed quiet like a room after applause. I would love to tell you the drafts stopped for me too. They didn't. I wrote one to an old friend I haven't forgiven and didn't send it because I wasn't finished forgiving. I wrote one to myself about the part of me that wants to be a hero in a story that doesn't actually need one. I wrote one to Raphael that began, you are very good at your job, and ended, we are building the light we want. And I deleted that one because it was for me, not for him. On Thursday, Myra came home with a gift I didn't deserve, a small prism that hangs in a window and breaks the morning into ridiculous rainbows. For the hallway, she said, so there's always an argument to look at. We hung it on the nail where an ugly hook used to be and watched the floor invent color. We stood in it. We kissed in it. We let the prism do the work we were too tired to hold for a minute. There was a fundraiser Saturday night, which meant fancy jackets and the particular exhaustion of small talk dressed like opportunity. Raphael was there, of course, because where else would light be? He nodded at us both with the elegance of a man who is sometimes an answer and sometimes a question. He said to Myra, the gallery will look good on you. And to me, you have good taste in repair. I said thank you as if he had complimented my shoes. Myra said, we're using what we have, which is the kind of sentence I want engraved somewhere unbreakable. Sunday I opened the laptop. One draft for us, 7:30 a.m. hallway, bring the dimmer. We stood under the prism at 7:29 and learned again how to speak with few words. The dog watched like a chaperone who was fed at last. Then we made coffee and used the morning for what mornings want, not declarations, not theater. Practice. If you need the version where the drafts vanish, this isn't it. They still exist. We use them as vent, as weather report, as sketch. We read them to each other sometimes before we hit delete. We built a rule that messages older than 30 days get archived with a label we both agreed to, studies. We are not pretending to be cured. We are learning to be consistent. We save before we send. We send less and say more out loud. We make room for the person each of us sometimes misses. And we invite that person into our hallway at human hours instead of asking a stranger to keep them company. The cursor still blinks. That's its job. Ours is to decide which sentences earn the right to leave the room. This morning I tightened the dimmer screw. In my drafts was one from Myra. You are the only person who changes how the light hits my office. I moved it to STUDIES and met her in the prism. Hey, I said, want to try being light again? Yes, she said, without drafting it first.